Welcome back to Crux Stationalis, the Roman Station Church Network. On this podcast where we journey through the ancient Lenten pilgrimage in Rome, visiting the churches designated as the station stops for each day of Lent. I'm Jacob Stein, your host, and today we're going to two station churches for yesterday's church, Friday, San Vitale, and Saturday of the second week of Lent, Saints Marcellino and Pietro. As always, these churches were not chosen at random, but carry deep connections to the season of Lent and the themes of suffering, perseverance, and divine mercy. Today we'll also dive into the Golden Legend to learn more about these saint martyrs. One of them even happens to be an exorcist. This Golden Legend is the famous medieval collection of saints' lives, and will help us uncover some fascinating details about Saints Marcellinus and Peter. Our first stop, before heading to Marcellino e Pietro, is San Vitale, a small yet historically significant church on the busy Via Nazionale. It dates back to at least the 5th century, though its origins may be even earlier. It is dedicated to Saint Vitalis, an early Christian martyr from Ravenna. Saint Vitalis was the father of the famous martyrs Gervasius and Protasius. According to tradition, while he was in Ravenna, he witnessed the execution of a Christian named Ursicinus, a doctor who was hesitant to persevere in his faith. Vitalis encouraged him to remain steadfast, and after the doctor was martyred, Vitalis himself was discovered to be a Christian. He was thrown into a pit and buried alive. The gospel reading for today is the parable of the wicked tenants, where the landowner sends his son only for him to be rejected and killed. This passage foreshadows Christ's own passion and fits perfectly with the story of Vitalis, who strengthened a fellow Christian in the face of death and then shared in his martyrdom. San Vitale's presence in the heart of Rome, largely unnoticed by the crowds that pass it daily on bus and on foot, reminds us that faithfulness often endures in quite hidden ways. Then on Saturday of the second week of Lent, we go to the station church of Saints Marcellino and Pietro, named after two early Christian martyrs whose story is filled with incredible details preserved in the Golden Legend. Saint Peter was an ordained exorcist, a minor order in the early church responsible for casting out demons, preparing catechumens for baptism, and assisting in spiritual warfare. His ministry made him particularly hated by the Roman authorities during the persecution of Diocletian. Marcellinus, a priest, was his close companion. According to the Golden Legend, Peter was so effective in his exorcisms that even the daughter of the Roman jailer Artemius was freed from demonic possession through his prayers. This led to the conversion of Artemius, his entire household, and many others in Rome. However, Peter and Marcellinus were soon arrested and thrown into prison. In a desperate attempt to break their faith, the judge Serenus ordered that Peter be stripped, beaten, and dragged through thorns, while Marcellinus was forced to watch. But instead of despairing, Peter sang psalms during his torture, and Marcellinus, rather than being frightened, joyfully stripped off his own garments and declared that he was ready to suffer as well. Just one note about this story from the Golden Legend. This is why it's so important with priests praying the divine office, the liturgy of the hours, and even important for the faithful to join in this practice. To really have the hymns of the songs sort of in our constant memory, upon our lips, as we speak them day in and day out, they become part of who we are. So then in moments of difficulty, in moments of we don't know what to do, the Psalms sort of emerge from us, as they have in this example of Saint Peter the exorcist. They emerge from us as a praise to our Lord, as sustenance, as strength. And so I don't know if you, I know when I have the habit of praying the divine office, my life is, praying the traditional office takes an hour, 15, an hour and a half, depending on the day, throughout the course of my day. But it orders my day in a way. It makes me much more productive. It orders my day in a way that is completely helpful. So even if that means for you praying lauds, morning prayer, vespers, evening prayer, and compline, or just starting with the night prayer of compline before going to bed, and having sort of an order in your day, even if you're just expecting 1 hour of the divine office in your day, it's still going to assist you. And of course, having the Psalms before you sleep in your heart, in your mind, is going to be all the better for you. So Peter was singing psalms during his torture, and Marcellinus, rather than being frightened, joyfully stripped off his own garments and declared that he was ready to suffer as well. Infuriated by this, the judge condemned them to be executed secretly, away from the public eye. They were led outside the city and forced to dig their own graves, and then they were beheaded. Their bodies were left unmarked, but a devout woman named Lucilla later recovered and buried them with honor. The gospel for the Saturday of the second week of Lent is the parable of the prodigal son, a perfect reflection of the mercy and conversion that Peter and Marcellinus inspired, even in their suffering. Their story reminds us that no one is beyond the reach of God's grace, and that spiritual battles are real, but Christ is always victorious. As we journey deeper into Lent, these two churches offer profound lessons. San Vitale reminds us that perseverance in faith often comes at a cost, but our witness strengthens others. Santi Marcellino and Pietro, with its ties to spiritual warfare and conversion, calls us to trust in God's power over sin and darkness. Thank you for joining me today on Crux Stationalis. Don't forget to check out the video link in the podcast description to have a tour of these two Roman station churches. And I'll see you tomorrow at the Roman Station Church journey. God bless you as you continue on Lent, and please pray for me.